Hello and welcome to the JB&M Sports Fanatic channel. What's good with you? So here we go. We're going to go through the AP Top 25 here. Just recapping week 7, what took place there and what we have to look forward to coming up here in week 8. A lot of great games. A lot of games went down to the wire literally there. And we're going to go through that. But first, let's see who's going to start off here ranked number 1. So number 1, you have the University of Georgia here. They're 7-0 on the season. Previously was ranked number 1, still ranked number 1 here. They beat Vanderbilt 55-0. This is one of the better Vanderbilt teams that I've seen out there so far this year. But for Georgia, the most important part is that their offense looked like it was clicking in there, and you start to see them look like the Bulldogs that we are accustomed to seeing. Last couple weeks had a couple games that wasn't their best performance, but this was an all-around great performance. They've got Florida coming up next, so that should be an interesting one. And then at number 2, the Ohio State Buckeyes. And so they were on a bye week. Next week, they'll return against the Iowa Hawkeyes there. That should be a good, fun matchup there. They're 6-0 on the season. And so for Ohio State, offensively, they look tremendous out there. Marvin Harrison Jr. and company, they've looked great out there. Run game, pass game. They've shown many ways offensively. My biggest question so far for the Buckeyes is so far, you look at their schedule in terms of who they've beaten right now, and you have to wonder in terms of that strength of schedule. Obviously, the better portion of their schedules will come later on when they get to play against your Penn States, against your Michigans and teams like that. That is when the whole country will be watching. But for now, Buckeyes, given what they've had assigned to them, they've taken advantage of those opportunities so far this season, and defense definitely doing their part as well. For Tennessee, ranked number 3, Tennessee beating Alabama, who was previously 3 last week, 52-49, a massive win. They've got Tennessee Martin coming up here next. That should be an easy one for Tennessee. But after that, you've got Kentucky coming up. You've got to go down on the road at the Bulldogs there, in which these are going to be some huge matchups here. And this team is going to be very tested. If they could survive this challenge, then look out. This Tennessee team, though, as we've seen, they are for real and they're exciting to watch. So putting them at number 3, absolutely love it. All right, so at number 4, we've got Michigan here. So Michigan was previously ranked number 5 here, and so now they're jumped up to 4. They beat Penn State, who was previously ranked number 10. They beat them 41-17. Early on in the game, it was a good matchup, but the way they run the ball, they just made Penn State just lose heart as the game continued to play on. And they will be playing Michigan State coming up next, and so Michigan will be looking to avenge last year and to beat Michigan State. So we'll see how that plays out for them. But Blake Corum and company, they're looking pretty good in the ground. At number 5, you've got Clemson. So they did fall from 4 to 5 there. They did finish beating Florida State 34-23. Florida State made a run late to try to make that one closer. Now, Syracuse coming up next week there. And so that's a game that you would think that Clemson could, win there. But Syracuse is undefeated as well. They've been an underrated team here. They beat North Carolina State last week. And so this Syracuse team, this is going to be a fun matchup to watch next week to see how that's going to go. I wonder just how will Syracuse look against this year's Clemson squad, but I'm excited for it. All right, so at number 6, Alabama, we're probably not used to seeing them this far down low. Honestly, they got their first loss of the year. Honestly, for Alabama, though, you still control your own, destiny the rest of the way. There's going to be plenty of opportunities to go out there and redeem yourself there. But they made too many mistakes penalty-wise in that game against Tennessee. They've got to be more disciplined there. It almost cost them against Texas A&M. We saw the scare against Texas, and so this team has got to be more disciplined moving forward. But that being said, though, you cannot deny how talented this squad is. And Bryce Young, he as elusive of a quarterback back there as ever. It's so hard to bring him down for a sack. So, but yeah, Alabama's at number 6. We'll try to speed things up here. Ole Miss at number 7, previously ranked number 9. They did beat Auburn. Auburn scored a little bit more points than I thought that they would, but they got a nice challenge coming up against LSU at LSU. And hey, going down to Death Valley, that's never easy. But right now they are 7-0 and ranked number 7. At number 8, TCU. And so 6-0. And so they beat Oklahoma State in 2 overtimes, 43-40. That'll jump you up 5 spots like it did there. Massive win there going against Oklahoma State. Now they're number 8. At number 9, you got UCLA, 6-0. They was previously ranked number 11. They had a bye week there. And so, yeah, so next they got Oregon coming up. At number 10, you've got the Oregon Ducks here, previously ranked number 12. And so now they're number 10, have the bye week there. Got UCLA coming up again. So a great matchup there between the 9 and the 10 for that one. At number 11, you've got Oklahoma State Cowboys at 5-1. And so they was previously number 8, but they did lose. Even though double overtime, the TCU is still going to bump you down there. But they got a chance to redeem themselves against Texas coming up next. And at number 12, USC. They got their first loss, and what a heartbreaker it was there for the Trojan fans. They lost 43-42 because Utah, when they scored their touchdown, they went for two. And so, honestly, it was a great game, great thriller. Somebody had to lose, and unfortunately for USC, they were that somebody there. But it's their only loss so far this season, and this team, very explosive team. At number 13, Wake Forest. They're 5-1. Previously 14, had a bye week, and so next they'll be playing Boston College. At 14, Syracuse 6-0, previously ranked number 18. So they did jump up 4 spots. I thought they might have jumped up even higher. I probably would have put them above Wake Forest. Honestly, they are 6-0. But they did beat North Carolina State, who was previously ranked number 15. They beat them 24-9. But they have a date with Clemson at Clemson coming up. And if they can find a way to win that, anybody that hasn't shown Syracuse respect so far will have to after a game like that. That's a big if, though. All right, so at number 15, you've got Utah. They're 5-2, previously ranked number 20. Again, they had beat USC. They got Washington State coming up. And so 16, you've got Penn State. So after the loss, they were number 10. They lost to Michigan. Michigan was able to pull away from them, so they're now 5-1. They got Minnesota coming up next, and so that's going to be a big game there against Minnesota. At number 17, you've got the Kansas State Wildcats. So they had a bye week this week, and they got a matchup with TCU. And so TCU, tough team to beat. Let's see how these Wildcats match up against them, but that should be a fun matchup there. At number 18, we've got the Fighting Illini here. And so they're 6-1. Previously was ranked 24th, but they did beat Minnesota. So that jumped them up there from 24 to 18. And so Minnesota may not be ranked, but they're just as good as a ranked team. And then you've got Nebraska coming up next. Should be able to take care of business in that one. Number 19, you have the Kentucky Wildcats. They were previously ranked 22, but they did win 27-17 over Mississippi State. And they've got a date with, Tennessee coming up soon. And so that's going to be a very fun matchup there. And also potentially a trap game there if Tennessee gets caught looking ahead too far to UGA. So a great opportunity here for Kentucky moving forward. And at number 20, you've got the Texas Longhorns here, 5-2 on the season. Was previously tied for 22nd. And so they won 24-21 versus Iowa State. That moved them up to 20. And they have Oklahoma State, which would be a tough matchup there coming up next. 21, the Cincinnati Bearcats, they're 5-1 on the season. Coming off a bye week, they'll be going down to SMU. And 22 is the North Carolina Tar Heels here, 6-1. Previously was unranked, but they did beat Duke 38-35. And yes, in football here, this is about as good a matchup as you get between these two teams in the college football setting there. Both teams coming in there with pretty good seasons so far, but North Carolina was able to win that one. They've got Pitt coming up next. At 23, you've got the Wolf Pack here, and so at 5-2, they were previously 15th, dropped down to 23 because they did lose to Syracuse 24-9, and they got Virginia Tech coming up next. At 24, Mississippi State dropped from 16 to 24. They're 5-2 on the season, and they lost to Kentucky 27-17. They got Alabama coming up next. Talk about having to rebound quickly. Alabama coming up next. And at 25, you have Tulane here, 6-1, previously unranked. And so they did beat South Florida 45-31. And what's next for them is Memphis. So there you have it, guys. The top 25, AP top 25, heading into week 8 next week. So there you have it, guys. Let me know, which teams are you feeling confident about? Who's the most underrated team? Let me know your thoughts on how the AP 25 shaked out this week, guys. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and see you guys next time.